It is now 7:16 and 16 after 7. Pretty cool outside at 39, but it's hot in the studio. Pack, we have our special Friday guest, Michael.
Gene Valentino, the Velvet Hammer, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Do I know
morning.
that guy? That name sounds familiar, that Velvet Hammer.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. He's got on this morning. Folks, if you could see this, you'd really love it. And, you and I were talking about this the other day, about doing something with video, maybe when we do our 15-minute segment on Fridays, so people could actually watch. So we're working on that, folks. We're going to do that. But he's got a hat on, a really cool-looking hat, We the People, 1776 on the left side there, since 1776. Really, that's a nice-looking hat.
It's We the People. It's you run into the restaurant at lunchtime down the street, and normally, you don't know, you're a little intimidated maybe of wearing some of your more expressive clothing. But boy, you get thumbs up. Yeah, hey, we're with you. Hey, thanks for sharing that. A lot of good comments. There's a power in the spirit of the grassroots of this nation that is very patriotic and supportive to protecting America and all it believes in.
And you and I, of course, we speak our mind, and of course that's my job. And you understand that what we talk about here on this show is a lot of it is opinion, but it's based on facts that we see out there every day. And I found it interesting that you and I were talking yesterday, and apparently we have been a victim of the information Nazis at Facebook and Google. Would you explain a little bit about what's happened to us?
Yeah, you've heard me mention the information super glue highway. The faster you go, the more stuck you get. So with all this technology and changes in policy at the national level, we find ourselves in a situation where, Michael, you and I have to post our interviews like these wonderful little 15-minute vignettes on our websites, and we do so as a portal for people to access. But not everybody knows my website or your website. So what's going on? We post things on what's called social media, and social media is supposed to, without discrimination or prejudice, put what we give them out there if we subscribe or sign up. Now, buried in 1,700 pages of terms and conditions when you sign up for these platforms, I suspect most of us didn't read all the fine print, but in that fine print, it gives them the authority to nix your presentation, whether it be audio or visual or both. And that's what's happened. You and I did a broadcast on October 21st, I believe, 2022, and it was entitled "What Lies Behind the Curtain." Folks, go to genevalentino.com, go into In the News, and scroll down to the WMXI list of shows that Michael and I do every week. And on October 21st, 2022, we did a show together that caused, and all of a sudden the algorithms and the bots that are searching out across the web on everybody, it's not just you and me, banned that interview, which had to do with what's going on with Big Pharma that we don't know about, what's going on in the Biden administration that we don't know about, why the double standard. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I'll be cautious not to say anymore, so this interview doesn't get banned. But then most recently, okay, just a week ago, Michael, you and I on January 30th did an interview together. The title of that one, folks, you'll find it in the same area. Are we guinea pigs for Big Pharma? Will social media ban us from saying no to the you-know-what? And as a result, YouTube wouldn't even take it. And some of the other platforms have us on some sort of warning list. We are at the verge of having to get together as a nation and file a class action suit against these social media giants that are trying to dictate and control what you and I want to say or have to say. Now, isn't it ironic? This very radio station and the thousands of other stations around the nation are not subject to the same rule. You have free reign. Generally, in the earlier days, it was to present both sides of the story. It was the equal time rule that the media was required to.
And by the way, let me just say, we are still required to do this for political candidates. If we have one candidate on, we're not obligated to call the other candidate and ask him to come on. But if he calls us and asks us to come on, we have to allow that. So
That's right.
We are a certain set of rules to make sure that all voices get heard.
George Soros has spent hundreds of millions of dollars at the older age of 88, 89 years of age to control not only the prosecutors and the Justice Department, but to control media itself. He has found his little gremlins at the different media outlets around the nation to control the messaging. And now through the social media giants, Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook, Amazon, Google, just to name three, I could continue, are now being dictated by the likes of him to control the messaging, whether it has to do with the Biden administration, whether it has to do with Big Pharma, or whether it has to do with the political influences that you are to adopt and accept. It's a global buy-in. They want you to buy into this global cause as opposed to being a patriotic person of this nation. They want you to buy into this global village and move toward a social autocratic form of government that means your individual liberties and freedoms becomes second to the greater good of government control. And Michael, just this morning, I'm seeing how government is spent for every dollar we take in, we're spending $1.20. We're reaching serious concerns with how we're going to manage the budget, not to mention balancing it. We see credit card debt at an all-time high, with individuals now forced to dip into their 401ks to pay for the very basic needs they've been used to out of disposable income in the past 2 years. I've seen politicians have a virtual meltdown on the House of Representatives floor this past 2 days with the likes of the ilk of Representative Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and this Rashida Tlaib. It's outrageous, Michael.
It is outrageous. Look, I don't want to get us banned on this one, but when you talk about big pharma, and we're not talking about a specific company, we're just talking about it in general. It's interesting because you and I have had the opportunity, we've been very fortunate to be able to travel to other places. You can go to a lot of countries in this world, and when you pay for your drugs, if you buy something there, some kind of drug there, a lot of them aren't even, what's the word? You don't have to have a prescription for them in a lot of places.
Over the counter.
Yeah, people just buy this stuff over the counter. And of course, they don't pay, a tenth maybe of what we pay here. It's all about, I think it's about the big pharma companies want to control the situation so that, number one, if you get their drug, it has to be a prescription, right? Because, well, it's no good to them if it's not special. And it's got to be special. A doctor's got to give it to you, right? And so if the doctor gives it, then the insurance pays for it. And
because I don't understand why big pharma, making all the billions they're making, doesn't think this little joyride's going to come to an end pretty soon, with China ultimately taking control of them, big pharma as well. What really amazes me? You've got the Chinese Communist Party felt the need to send a spy balloon over the northern states of the United States to spy on us. What the hell are they doing that for? They own half of the Congress and government anyway.
Yeah, I was telling Ted this morning. I mean, they said we're not going to shoot it down. Why? It was over Montana. What the hell are you going to hit in Montana?
And why aren't the Democrats showing concern over this? That's what's got me crazy.
I have, and Ted and I were talking about this. You got to get you a set of headsets because you can't hear a lot of times when I'm talking. But anyway, you know, what if they're doing something nefarious up there? What if that thing has got some sort of aerosols that they're spraying over our country? I'm just asking because we don't know, because nobody wants to shoot it down. They're just going to let it go. Are they putting something on? I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. And this is how conspiracy theories get started right here when people have questions.
Why doesn't Anthony Blinken now cancel his trip to China because of this extremely bad, egregious behavior on China's part? China gets noticed by us recently, Michael, that we're upset about this balloon over the northern states. And we'll look into it. Yeah, we'll oh, really? We'll take a look into that. Their existing satellites in outer space have got everything they need now. What is it they're trying to do? We're at the.
Why I brought that up. I mean, is there something nefarious going on here?
Yeah, that's true. Well, meanwhile, now in California, the kids with the lowest risk of virus infection are being mandated to get vaccinated, and questions remain about the long-term effects of the booster shots anyway. And more people are dying, and it goes unreported and unaddressed with the medical information that's creeping into the same social media. You know what I find interesting is that a lot of the truth tellers, doctors, medical professions, even doctor groups that are trying to come out to inform the greater good of this nation get their stories leaked out, but then immediately banned. You have to kind of grab the story before it gets banned itself.
Well, could it be that big pharma out here putting a lot of money, they advertise on these places like Google and Facebook. Could it be that they just want to protect their client, their advertising client, for the big money that they pay them?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, we're banned now for sure.
Well, all it takes is a few good congressmen and senators to change the rule. I keep making reference back to the AT&T days when the United States Congress broke up that monopoly and created the baby bells around the nation. Contel, Pac Bells, Southern New England Telephone, Bell South. There were baby bells set up in regions around the nation as a way of diluting the greedy, monopolistic control that big corporations had over citizens. This is another example where government must now step up and break up the egregious control of these titans. Especially in high tech, which is what you were alluding to with our banning issue. But it's broader than that. It goes into big pharma and many other agencies of the nation. Just sheepishly follow along. Let us herd you into the corral and follow our ways. Do what we say. We'll take the stress off your shoulders. Just do what we say, and your life will be happy. And by the way, live with 20-30% less than you're used to.
Right. Okay, that's the music. That means we have to go. But thank you for joining us. Remember, you can go to GeneValentino.com and listen to this and other episodes of our Friday show. Gene, thank you.
Thanks for the plug. Best to both of you and everybody listening.